I was reading this article from Straits Times whereby it shows you how long you need to scale the wealth ladder in Singapore. That's around 32 years. And my friends from YouTube, namely Kelvin's Learns Investing and Josh Tan from The Astute Parent, have already gave their take on it. So today, here is my personal take on how you can scale the wealth ladder in Singapore. But I am not going to reference to the article because I think some of their targets and some of their numbers are not realistic. So disclaimer first, the numbers that I'll be using today is based on my own personal take. And it doesn't mean that you are a failure if you fail to achieve these numbers by a certain age. Of course, it's great that you can achieve these numbers, but if you're not, then you can look at where you are getting off track. What are you doing wrong and what can you correct it so you can get back on track and not fall behind. Now, how will I define this financial status is that each status will have its own relevant number. And this number will kind of depict the stage that they are in. And let's start with the first number, which is less than 0 or negative. We call this level financial deficit. For people who are in financial deficit, most likely you are below the age of 21 because you are a minor and you cannot go out and work yet. You are not a working adult. Heck, you are not even an adult yet. And what this means is that you are still drawing an allowance from your parents because you are a minor. Your parents are supposed to take care of you, which also means that you are living above your means, meaning that you are not getting an income, and hence whatever you spend out of your own pocket, that is your parents' money, and you are definitely at a deficit. So most of you who are below the age of 21 or you are still a student studying in university, most likely you're in a financial deficit stage. But it doesn't mean that those people above 21 and are working adults are not out of financial deficit, because there are people with high expectations, and with high expectations, they will have high expenses. They are living beyond their means. Like if they earn $3,000 but they spend $4,000 per month either on debts, or they borrow money, or they are on loans. All these are the same thing, and that means they are spending their future money on the current gratification, which is really bad. That's why it's called financial deficit at less than 0, negative. Now, if you are in a financial deficit status, then I will encourage you to join my Telegram group at Honey Money SG, because there are experts out there to help guide you to the right direction so that you will no longer be in deficit at Honey Money SG. Now, for the next stage, it's called financial balance, and the representative number is 0 because everything balances out. Whatever comes in means whatever goes out. And this happens to people generally between the age of 22 to 25 when they are still in their early adulthood stage, or they just started out their careers from university. Most likely, they will be living within the means, which means if they draw a salary of $3,000, they will spend $3,000. Maybe more, maybe less sometimes, depending on their monthly spend pattern. But something in common is that these people will likely be referred to as 月光族. We call that in Chinese. In English, it's called the moonlighter. Because by the end of the month, whatever money that has come in as income will be flow out as expenses. There is almost zero savings, and sometimes it's not because they are spendthrift, but because they may be paying for student loans, which is a huge debt, and maybe they are preparing for their wedding expenses, their housing costs, and their renovation costs. All this requires a huge sum of money, especially when you are at that young age. So most likely on a month-to-month basis, they can save around a 10% to a negative 10% because it fluctuates, right, sometimes. So if you are between the age of 22 to 25, make sure you try to achieve at least financial balance, not financial deficit. Okay, the next stage is financial saver, and the representative number is 1. For this group of people, you are likely between the age of 26 to 30 when you finally start to wake up and then think about financial literacy and saving for your future. You are living slightly below your means and you have at least 6 months of salary saved, because you know that if you don't save for your future, you are unable to pay for the expenses down the road. Like if you want to start a family, you want to have a kid, you want to take care of your elderly parents in future, all this requires money. And if you don't wake up and start saving money, you will be in a very bad financial stage. So your savings rate will be roughly between 10 to 20% of your monthly income. And why the representative number is 1 is because, you know, from 0 to 1 is the hardest. From 1 to 10 is not so hard, but from 0 to 1 is the starting point where you start to wake up. So 1 represents your awakened state. And at this level of savings rate, most likely you have the budget enough to take a short holiday to nearby ASEAN countries. You can take budget airlines, and we call this the budget airline status. Later we'll go on to further statuses. For career-wise, you're most likely at a junior staff stage with around 2 to 3 years of work experience. Nothing too senior yet, you're still trying to figure out how things work in the corporate world, which also means that you're still not that high pay yet. So savings 10 to 20% to me, I think that's good enough for this age. Of course, if we can save more, then that's better lah, but we manage our expectations first. And after being a financial saver for a few years, most likely you need to start taking a look at investing. And what are the options for good investment platforms? I'll introduce you my sponsor. Here is the brand new offer for Weibo this month, and it's eligible for both new and existing customers. For new users, you have to fund $300 on your first deposit and execute one trade so you can buy one cheap stock. And glad to know that Weibo is offering free commission on your first 6 months, so you don't have to pay a fee on that. And with this requirement fulfilled, you will win 6 to 40 shares of Tesla, Apple, Microsoft or Google shares. On top of that, if you execute 3 options trade, you will win 8 options trading vouchers, which is worth $10 to $100 each. And for options pricing, Weibo is charging 55 cents per contract, excluding any regulatory fees. And you know what? Even existing customers of Weibo can win something as well, because if you execute one options trade, you will also win 1 options trading voucher worth $10 to $100 each. So use my referral link down below or scan the QR code right here to get your Weibo account today. Alright, the next stage is called financial security, and it's relevant for people between the age of 31 to 40. The representative number of this is 6, because by now, you should have at least 6 months of your salary saved as your emergency savings, and then you can start to use the excess funds to start investing. Because after you have been saving for a few years as a financial saver, now you're most likely having an extra buffer of cash whereby you don't know what to do with it, whether you should park it in high interest savings account, or you should top up your CPF, or you should start investing. But it's good that you already have the habit to live below your means, and that's why you have the money to invest. And most likely you are making an investment of around $500 to $1,000 of monthly dollar cost average into the index funds per month. Because when you're starting out investing, you don't want to try your hands on too risky stuff. Like you want to try stock picking, you don't even understand how investing works or how the stock market works. So I think if you are dollar cost averaging into an index fund, then that is a better way to start it out. So at this level of financial security, you can at least take economy class to Asia Pacific region already. So you see, you want the economy class level of retirement, then financial security is the way. And at your work level, you're most likely promoted to become a senior staff with at least 4 to 8 years of work experience, so you can help to guide the juniors, and maybe you're on track to be the next manager. The next level is called financial independence, and the reference number is 25. This is more applicable for people between the age of 41 to 55, because at this period, you are most likely promoted to a senior level position already. Either you are a manager, senior manager, some of you are even directors in the corporate world. And why 25 is the reference number is because your portfolio of investments and liquid assets should at least cover you 25 years of annual expenses, which is also known as the 4% rule. So for example, your annual expense is $40,000. 25x of 40,000, you should have at least $1 million of investment portfolio with liquid assets. And at this level of financial independence, your passive income will sufficiently cover your daily expenses. This will include one-time off expenses, like if you want to travel, or you have a slight medical problem that you want to fix, then all these should have buffers placed inside of them. And at the financial independence level, most likely your savings rate is significantly higher than 50%, probably around 60 to 80% of your income, because your passive income could cover your expenses, right? Which means that whatever additional income that comes in, those can form part of your retirement portfolio and will form part of your investment assets. So at the financial independence level, I would say you can have a premium economy class of retirement, whereby you can fly to at least Asia plus Middle East, every country or city within. And for those of you who are nosy about my current financial status, it's somewhere between financial security plus financial independence, somewhere in the middle. Because as much as I have money to invest and my passive income is sufficient to cover my daily expenses, but I still think that that is not sufficient enough to cover the future inflation as well as whatever expenses I may have after starting a family. So I'm still quite a distance away from financial independence. Okay, the next stage is very important, and that is financial freedom, which has a reference number of 60. You see, 60 months is equals to 5 years, right? So using my own personal example of $40,000 annual expenses, I would need to take 40,000 divided by 4% and then multiply by 5 years, which means a portfolio of $5 million is required to achieve financial freedom. And at this level, spending on luxurious items like you want to buy expensive handbags, you want to go on luxurious cruise, you want to go for exotic destinations for holidays, will not even hurt your wallet, because in 1 year, you could generate 5 years of annual expenses. And that is superior. Like my annual expenses is 40k, but I could generate $200,000 in a year passively. That's more than enough, right? I have an additional of 160k to play around with. That's a lot of money. With financial freedom, you will also achieve the business class level of retirement, which means you can fly to anywhere business class in this world, and it will not even hurt your wallet. I would say if you're age 55 and above, you have worked hard all the years, you have climbed the corporate ladder, you have reached a comfortable career success, then most likely you will have achieved financial freedom if you're prudent enough, okay? But the final level is called financial abundance. And there is no reference number to this, because if there is a number, it should be infinity. At this level, you're most likely in the ultra high net worth zone already, like above 30 over million in net assets. You can fly first class around the world, and there is a first class retirement for you. You can even go to Antarctica, or if you want to go to space, when space tourism finally open, right, you can even go into the moon if you want. But to most people, even for myself, we will never achieve financial abundance lah. You will need to make a very big impact to this world and give so much value that your assets can generate so much value for you to be worth that much. So yes, here are my 7 levels of financial status, and I don't care what the Straits Times article say, I define these levels myself. So don't be too fixated on all these numbers, because all these are numbers fixated by people randomly on the internet, just like myself. But if you want to know how much salary is enough in Singapore, I recently did a very popular video right here where you can check it out and see how you are comparing against these people in the industry.